Welcome. I hope that you're all enjoying the holiday. Today is the 6th day of Pesach. It's the yard site of my father of blessed memory, Rav Nosson Tzvi ben Rav Moshe. And I would like to, first yard site, and I would like to dedicate our words of Torah, our learning today, to his memory. May his neshama have an aliyah. Tomorrow, the 7th day of Pesach, we celebrate the splitting of the Red Sea and the Shira al Hayam, the great song at the sea. It can be argued that the revelation at the sea was the greatest revelation across the board of all time. Klal Yisrael said the words, Zeh keli va'anvehu. They said, this is my God. And Rashi, quoting the Mechilta, says, Zeh keli hayamarin be'etzba. They said the word this, they were pointing to something. They said, this is my God. Rasa shifcha alayam, masharu lo rasa hanaviyim. Rashi continues and says that what they saw at the sea, the greatest of the prophets. Another Maimar Chazal says, Rasa shifcha alayam, the most spiritually undeveloped member of our people, saw more than the great prophet Yechezkel. So I want to ask you a number of questions. Number one, why now? Why is it, arguably, that at the sea there was a greater revelation even than at Sinai? For at Sinai we learn that depending upon the spiritual receptivity of each individual member of Klal Yisrael, they were able to behold the presence of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But when it comes to the revelation at the sea, Rasa Shifcha Alayam, the most spiritually underdeveloped, they all, for some reason, they had to see. So the first question is, why now? And then what many of you might consider to be an irreverent question, a dangerous question, is what did they see? They said, Zeh keli, this is my God. I mean, we know, Eino guf ve'ein demus haguf. HaKadosh Baruch Hu has no body. He can't be seen by the physical eye. So what did they see? And thirdly, va'anvehu, and I will glorify you. As a nation, they all beheld the presence of God and they said, va'anvehu. What was that response? And why was it a response to what they saw? It can be argued that this moment, as our people stood at the sea, this is the moment that we ultimately became a nation. Klal Yisrael developed into a nation in Mitzrayim and with the Yetziah and with the Exodus. But until this point, say some of the great Rishonim, we were still slaves. In the words of one of them, we were avodim borchim. We were fleeing slaves. We still saw ourselves as subservient to their former taskmasters. At this moment, at the splitting of the sea, they emerged as Am Yisrael. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu needed to teach Klal Yisrael who they were and who he was. Who is God? There's a beautiful pasuk in the Navi Yoel which teaches us how we relate to God, how we can encounter God. The prophet says, Ki chanun v'rachum hu, that Am Yisrael, or the human being, is able to meet, is able to perceive God most closely, most intimately, through his trait of chanun v'rachum, his mercy, his magnanimity. That's how we can perceive God and relate to God. At the moment of the splitting of the sea, HaKadosh Baruch Hu pulled back the veil which covers, which hides how he controls the world through his chanun v'rachum, through his mercy, through his goodness. And he showed our people how the world works. He showed his relationship to humanity through chanun v'rachum. And they looked at it and they said, Zekeli, that is my God. V'anvehu, and I will glorify him. Abishol, the Gemara Shabbos, Kuf Lamed Gimel, says V'anvehu. The pledge that they were making was V'anvehu e'ese atzmi kamoso. I will make myself like him. Lidavik b'drachav, to cling to his ways. Mahu rachum, just as he is merciful, I will be rachum. Just as he is chanun, just as he is magnanimous, he is giving, he is gracious, so will I. Just as he does good for all, so will I. So they said Zekeli, they recognized the chanun v'rachum, the goodness of God, and they said, I'm going to be that way. But if you take a look at Rashi, over there on that Gemara, Kuf Lamed Gimel in Shabbos, he says an amazing thing. What is this word va'anvehu? He says the word va'anvehu, I will glorify him, is a contraction of the word ani v'hu. It is he and I. When they saw at the sea, when they beheld the chanun v'rachum of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, they looked back at themselves and they said, I can't believe it. God is chanun v'rachum, but ani v'hu, it's he and I. I am that way. I am nivra b'tzelem Elokim. I am created in the image of God, and I see a reflection of myself. When I look at HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I see a reflection of God in myself. I can be that. So when we became an Am, we learned who HaKadosh Baruch Hu was, and we learned who we were, and we pledged to be godly. It is therefore that every single member of Klal Yisrael, no matter how spiritually developed, we had to know who we were, and we had to know who our mission was. Rashi says that the word va'anvehu is milashon noi, beauty. Klal Yisrael took a look, kavyochol, at HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and they said, Esaper noyav ushvachav l'boy olam. I am going to be a representative of kavyochol. I am going to be a representative of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And I am going to model rachum v'chanu to the entire world. I am going to bring out my godliness, and through me bringing out my godliness, I am going to bring the world to an appreciation of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, to an appreciation of Chanun v'Rachum. Tomorrow, when we read of us standing at the sea and singing that shira, let us recognize that we had a tremendous awareness of who God was and who we are. And we made a pledge that we were going to exhibit, to exemplify the goodness of God. I hope you all have a wonderful, beautiful Yom Tov. Thank you so much for listening.